and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello again. This is Mel, aka at Karmic9, and you're listening to the Nurture and Support podcast, a recommendation podcast where we try to share things that we enjoy with you in the hopes that you'll enjoy them as well, and possibly share things you enjoy back with us so that we can share them as well, or steal them, however you want to look at it. It's all sharing. So I will turn it over to Kelly, who will introduce a guest that we have today.
Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter. And we're very pleased to have rejoining us I guess I got to give you like full credit, the creator of our theme song. Although, I mean, I did provide the lyrics, which are basically an iTunes description of the podcast. So there's not like a lot of depth to it. But the creator of our wonderful podcast theme song, all around great person, Alicia Holm. So, Alicia, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Great to be back. Thank you for the invitation.
And your Twitter account is?
My Twitter account is at OAlchemyGirl. That is at OHALCHEMYGIRL.
That's like serious spelling there.
It is. I wrote it down. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I've been trying to get mine memorized, but it helps being the name and all.
Well, Kelly has a fancy voiceover for his, so he doesn't have to remember it anymore. We can just drop it in.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, we need to do that more because I'll just say, take it away, Matt.
At KELLYTHUL.
And then we can just let that play. It'd be very cool. So for those of you who are regular listeners to the show, you remember Alicia has joined us before. So any news or stuff you'd like to share with us before we get started, ma'am?
Well, I did have something very unique and exciting happen very recently. A week ago today, actually, my boyfriend of 4 years proposed to me, and so I am engaged.
Yay!
Very exciting stuff. Thank you. He also surprised me with a video of our proposal. So I've had a lot of people ask me, what did he do? How did he propose? Where? And all of those questions. Actually, you can even see it on YouTube. So one way to search would just be Mason and Alicia. If you put that in the YouTube search, you'll find it about 5 minutes. I truly was surprised. So it's all the real deal, and it's quite an elaborate process, but it was also very beautiful, very lovely, from the heart for sure.
Oh, and that's what Nurture and Support is about. Nurturing and supporting from the heart. But yes, we will link that in the blog post for this episode because I missed the announcement and I need to watch it anyway. So we'll put that up. Thank you for allowing us to share that with everyone.
I'm very happy to. Thank you.
Well, congratulations and very, very cool. Great news.
Thank you.
So did he start the trailer off with, in a world where...
And I think because of, we were there to see, I'll just tell you, we were there to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off because that was the first movie that we saw together when we met, and so that was what he told me that we were going to go see, and then the trailer started, and he created this trailer. As soon as I heard his voice, it's like, okay, so I don't think we're here to see a movie, and just kind of wondered what was going on, and it's amazing how many, emotions really you're feeling at that moment, and really just kind of holding back the tears and trying not to look too silly, trying to compose myself and keep it together, but very incredibly memorable, that's for sure. Nothing I'll be forgetting.
Well, way to make every other male on the planet look bad, Mason. So thanks for that. we all owe you one.
Yeah, he's made a lot of people cry. We've heard or the videos made a lot of people cry. But
Aw. I don't know. Then I might not need to watch it.
just bring a tissue. Have a tissue nearby.
Okay. All right. I'll have to load up on all the Mucinex. This allergy season has made me start stockpiling, so I'll be okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. That's my news.
That's pretty good.
Yes, that's pretty big news. That's bigger than any news I have, so I'd call that a win.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to jump on into recommendations, and this time I get to start off. So I've mentioned before that I like video games, and I'm sure y'all are all tired of hearing about them, but I've got a really cool deal, and this one's not going to cost you $60 like my last one. This is an old game that came out in 1999, and it will probably run on all of your computers because it's old, and your computers are definitely, they're better than
You're kind of crowding into my territory here, Mel, with recommendations.
Yeah, this is an oldie, definitely an oldie but goodie. This is actually one of my favorite games ever. I've probably mentioned it on the show once or twice before, but not really talked in depth about it. It is called Alpha Centauri, or more correctly, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. And you may recognize that name from the Civilization franchise, or what's commonly just referred to as Civ. There are 5 different Civs out. Alpha Centauri came out about when Civ 2 did. It is essentially a lot like Civ, only it's set in space, and y'all are all very well aware by now that I like science fiction and space travel and things like that. So if you're not familiar with either of these types of games, they're turn-based strategy games. What that means is that these are civilization builders. So you start off with a few units, and you set up a home base or a city, and you build from there. And it's all about managing your resources and building things. And you get to choose just what kind of a horrible dictator you're going to be. So Alpha Centauri starts. I'm sorry.
I said I like it.
Yes, you're definitely gonna like it. I think it's called Morgan Industries, the big evil corporation of the game. But this essentially, have either of you ever played any of the Civ games at all?
I think the first one a little bit.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I've never played.
Okay. Well, one of the victories in Civ is a space victory. Essentially, you spend the latter half of the game trying to achieve space flight. And at the end of the game, you're trying to build a Unity module, which is a spaceship to go up into space and carry people off to another planet. Alpha Centauri is basically the result of that. But what's interesting is that they're made by 2 different companies, because back in the day when this happened, the Sid Meier's and Brian Reynolds, who basically are the people behind the Civ franchise, broke off from the company that was actually putting Civ out. And they formed a company called Firaxis, and they put out Alpha Centauri. So sort of Alpha Centauri starts up where Civ ends. That Unity module goes off to a planet, and which is nicely called Planet, and dumps a bunch of different types of people down. So you've got different factions of people with different worldviews and different ideologies. And it's kind of like, y'all are familiar with Risk, the old board game?
Yep.
Okay. It's kind of like Risk, only in a computer version, because you're building up a civilization that you have to, 1, defend your resources and expand your civilization against others. Now, you get to play as essentially 7 different factions in the first game, which is called Alpha Centauri. There's an expansion called Alien Crossfire. But your factions are based on basically technology. You've got your environmentalists, your capitalists, your military people. They even introduced pirates in Alien Crossfire, so, space pirates on an alien planet. It's pretty cool. You've kind of got your anarchists, and my favorite, given that I'm a tree-hugging vegetarian, the Gaians. And I usually play as the Gaians, by the way, or the pirates, because, you know, what's better than Gaian pirates? But you work on building up a civilization based on your faction's ideology. So if you're a Gaian, you're concerned with the environment and the planet being a whole organism, which it just so happens that this planet that they land on is covered in this fungal life form. And it turns out, as the game goes on, you learn that it's basically functioning like a hive mind. The entire planet functions like the neurons of a brain, and it has achieved semi-sentience and some consciousness. And it doesn't like all these crappy people running all over it, and it starts attacking them. So if you're a Gaian and you research specific technologies, which you have control over what technologies that you decide to research, and that controls what technologies you get to make, whether you're going to go military or you're going to go, I'm going to be a science-based faction and I'm going to research my way to victory, or whether you're going to be a military faction and you're going to build big military units that are going to sweep across the planet and kill everybody. You get to decide how you're going to play.
How quick
Kelly's
can you start doing that?
nodding his head.
Can you start killing people right away?
Well, the biggest problem is that you have to find the other factions when the game first starts. It gives you some time to build up your first city and build some units, and you, luck of the draw, may end up having another faction very close to you, or they may be very far away. You get to kind of choose how big the world is when you start the game, which kind of determines how long your gameplay is. So if you want to get right to the business of killing each other, which is a, basic human trait, then you'd want to do a smaller planet that you have to run into your neighbors that much sooner. It doesn't give you a lot of time to build up your defenses or build up your military, but you get to start killing each other right away. And if you get to it really early, you can completely eliminate an entire faction by killing all of their cities. So it's that's one way to win. However, there is also I can tell I wouldn't want to play this game against you because I don't like the military option. I'm strictly defensive. I don't ever attack anybody else unless they really make me mad. But there's a diplomatic victory, which you can, at a certain point in the game, start holding elections for planetary governor. So you can have a diplomatic victory. And the ultimate victory, in my mind, of course, is in Alpha Centauri, is transcendence, where basically you kind of merge with the planet and jumpstart the next step in human evolution. That's the ultimate victory, and the one that I usually go for, because I'm a tree-hugging vegetarian. But there are cool little critters on this planet called mindworms and spore launchers and islands of the deep. All of the planet's natural defenses are, of course, organisms. And mindworms attack you by basically making you hallucinate into attacking each other and killing each other and dying. And if you research the right technology, you can capture mindworms and use them as part of your own military and go attack other people with them. So that's pretty cool. But let's see. The biggest, most exciting thing about this game, because I know you're all wondering, if this game came out in 1999, how are we possibly going to play it today? Well, you're in luck, because there is a website I've mentioned before that's GOG.com. And this game, with the add-on already in it, has been optimized to play on today's systems. It's also DRM-free, which is something GOG does. All of their games are DRM-free. But it's for the whoppingly huge price of $5.99. And it's well worth that. It's one of my favorite games ever. And it's got just great voice acting in it. Every faction has a voice actor that does the cutscenes, there's not a lot of there's not really movies in the game. They do static cutscenes where they're reading from a book, but the story itself, it was inspired by things like Dune, the work of Stanley Kubrick, all of that kind of stuff. If you want to look up the Wikipedia page on it, they give you a whole list of who Brian Reynolds said inspired him for the story of the game, which is full of all of the greats in science fiction literature. But it's a really interesting game in that, like Civ, it gives you a good idea of how different people with different ideologies approach a particular problem, which is something I've always liked. You have your religious fanatic faction in this game as well. Every craziness that humanity has produced is essentially represented in this game. And I know Kelly likes it when you can mod the games. This one you can adjust different abilities of a particular faction if you want. It has a built-in editor if you want to change things. I don't really get into all of that, especially I didn't on this game. But it's great fun. One of my favorite games, and when I saw that it was up on GOG, I was like, oh, I have to have that because I've missed playing that game. It doesn't play in the right resolutions even when you have the old discs. So they've optimized it so it plays much better at much better resolution. And there are some tweaks out there to even improve all of that. But I've always loved the sounds and the voice acting in this game. And Lady Deidre Skye of the Gaia's Stepdaughters, of course, is my favorite. And it's well worth the $5.99 to download it and give it a play if you're a fan of turn-based strategy games. If you like Civ and you've never played the science fiction space version of Civ, then check out Alpha Centauri. I think that you'll like it. If you don't like games unless you get to run around and go pew 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 and shoot everybody, you're probably not going to like this game because it's pretty slow. The timeline moves in years. So if you like turn-based strategy, I think you'll definitely like this game. You'll see a lot of where the newer games came from because this is one of the games that set the stage for how turn-based strategy games are played. And I think you'll enjoy it. So check out GOG.com and download Alpha Centauri for $5.99, and you'll love it like I do.
And you still can wipe out whole groups, right?
You can.
Yeah, okay.
You can.
I'm there.
Yep. It's a good game. I highly recommend it if you're into turn-based strategy. If you're not, because I know a lot of people find it to be a complete snooze to spend that long planning out a game. Because if you don't build up your military to at least defend yourself, some jerk like Kelly is going to come along and annihilate you. So you have to be prepared. And I always think these types of games give people a better idea of kind of what even countries in our world have to do. It gives you some broad spectrum of, oh, well, you know, look, this jerk over here is going to attack me for this energy source over here. And if I don't plop my military down on it, they're going to take it away from me. And you might start going, hey, I think I know what they're talking about. So it has modern day relevance, even though it is from 1999.
Sounds very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alicia, we'll turn you loose next if you have a recommendation for us.
Yeah, so I have become a fan of podcasts, all different types, I would say, especially within this past maybe 6 months or a year. Anything from, comedy-based to, just music, NPR-related or otherwise, just really anything that, I find really interesting. And
Don't say you like knitting podcasts.
I have not listened to one knitting podcast, so I'm not contributing to that at all.
We'll have you back then.
But one I have been listening to, it's called Welcome to Night Vale, and fairly popular. And I feel like I saw some of the art for it, or there was just something that I found really interesting, and I wasn't sure if I would be into it at all, but decided to give it a try. And I don't know, have you listened to it at all or heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
You have? Okay. Okay.
I
So
have not. So.
Okay. It is, I kind of look at it as, X-Files meets Twin Peaks meets The Twilight Zone. They can kind of go there and have this kind of almost creepy sci-fi, feel to this fictitious town of Night Vale. So the radio personality's name is Cecil Baldwin, is describing just various events that are going on in the town. So it could be tryouts for the play, it could be a parade, something going on in the school district, someone running for mayor, just all the, the regular things that would happen in a town. But in Night Vale, they're incredibly creepy, and it's a very sardonic humor, I think, that goes along with this. So it's incredibly witty, very funny. They have regular characters that you would find out about as long as you follow the stories. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say you have to listen to them in order, but there are some themes that will run through them that would help if you do that. I think he has a missing intern right now who is in another dimension. So, you'll find out about her as he checks in with her every once in a while. So there will be some storylines you might want to follow that way. But otherwise, I know that the show has gotten very, very popular, and it is actually a touring show now as well. So not just a podcast, but they are touring with a story and actually performing live around the country. So it's just something I would totally love to see, as much as I'm excited about it. And there's so much just creativity to it that I'm enjoying it.
It's definitely weird. Did you like it right off the bat, or did you have to listen to a few episodes to get into it?
I would say I had to listen to a few.
Yeah. I don't think I got to that point. Mm-hmm. I started listening to it, and I was like, yeah, it's weird and all, but I don't think I listened long enough to get to a point where they all strung together into kind of a bigger story. Mm-hmm. And I keep needing to go back and put it on and do some cleaning or do something and get through the story, because it is wildly popular. And I know I just didn't listen to it long enough to really get into the story, but every episode was enjoyable. It's definitely weird. I think you'd like it, Kelly.
I want to take a quick time out to interrupt Alicia. So I just want to clarify for this podcast so far, Mel, I'm a jerk and I'm weird. I'm just keeping track here.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're a weird jerk. What do you want me to say, man? You are who you are. We don't judge here. We love you for being a weird jerk.
I didn't feel an ounce of judgment in
You weren't feeling very loved, huh?
Nurtured. I was neither nurtured nor supported.
Okay. I've got to work on that whole nurture and support thing.
I would say it's a compliment, though, that she is saying that you would like this show, just because it's very different, it's very unique, yet it's incredibly smart, and the way I'm a big fan of just writers being clever, and that's all over the place with this. So that's something I enjoy about it. I started very randomly with an episode called Numbers. And I would say that's kind of the one that drew me in, just due to the paranormal aspect of it, and just kind of you want to see what happens, till you get to the end. They do, whenever they report on the weather, because he will give updates like news and traffic and weather. Whenever you get to weather, it is a song, so they will have a contributing artists or bands that will have music as the weather. And not once have I found one that I dislike. So there's always some, even with that, it's just like they're even choosing these, fantastic bands to participate. And, I'm even looking into seeing if I can contribute maybe with my band as well to be part of the podcast. So
that would be totally cool.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great. I think you've got some other commissioned work you're going to need to work on first before before you do any weather song. But,
yes.
But
that is true. That
sounds nice. Yep. As a secondary thing.
Yeah. And Just the other thing I had that was just podcast related. I did have another one that's kind of on the other side of things, I guess, more of a game show podcast. Have you heard of Ask Me Another? It's NPR. It's an NPR podcast. Similar vein of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, if you've heard of that. There is a host. There is a one-man, what do they call him? Like the one-man house band, I think. Jonathan Colton, if you've never heard of him. Hilarious.
Oh, we know Jonathan Colton.
Okay.
He's one of my recommendations.
Yay! Okay. He is the one-man house band for Ask Me Another, and they come up with the funniest songs that the contestants have to, come up with something. I'm trying to think of, I think they did for the Beatles song, I Am the Walrus, and he made up all these different lyrics and with different animals, and the contestants would have to guess what they are. And it was just really funny. But they have just little sections, just like a game show. And they have people call in, or they might be in the studio to participate. It's something that I always enjoyed. Even as a kid, I would watch all the game shows and try to answer the questions. I love to show off and watch Jeopardy and answer in front of people, if I can, and things like that. So it reminds me a lot of that. And on my road trips, I think I listened to all the Ask Me Anothers, and it really kept my mind, I guess, busy, just trying to, thinking of how to answer the questions, and I've been really enjoying that.
That's cool. I didn't realize Jonathan Colton was doing something like that. So, of course, I'm going to have to check it out because I'm a huge Jonathan Colton fan.
Yay, that's so great. And I hope it's a trend, actually in game show podcasts, that whole, I don't know how to say it, like just having a house band, like someone as creative and talented, I guess, as Jonathan Colton, or like They Might Be Giants, for example. I think would fit in that genre as well. So I hope that continues.
Yeah, that's cool. That would be awesome if bands like them were everywhere, because I like them. They're funny. They just hit you out of the blue with some funny, witty, very clever lyric if you listen to it, but, it just flies by as something stupid, and then you're like, wait a minute, that was awesome. So, I love nerd music like that. It just makes me happy.
Oh, me too.
It's good stuff. So if you did want to, this is a podcast as well. You can just kind of pull off, go to iTunes and website, all those types of things to.
Yeah, it would be should be on iTunes. I know that Welcome to Night Vale is on iTunes. They also have a website which is commonplacebooks.com, where you should be able to access it. Again, I use the Podbay app a lot, just to listen to podcasts on my phone as well.
Yeah. They're both going to be up on iTunes. All the NPR ones are, and I know Night Vale is because that's where I've listened to it. So. Okay. They're everywhere. I'm sure they're both up on Stitcher as well, if Stitcher is your podcast catcher of choice. So they're everywhere. I'm sure the NPR ones are always high up the list. I just have missed that one. Maybe because I'm not so much into the game show stuff, but if it's clever, I like the format of that one. It sounds good, so I'm gonna give that a shot. As long as it doesn't make me feel like stupid. I don't like ones that make me feel stupid.
No.
It's not very nurturing and supportive. Make me feel stupid.
Right. No, so. This one is, and it'll make you laugh too. So
that's good. Funny and smart. I can do funny and smart if it makes me smarter. So I think that makes it Kelly's turn to wow us.
All righty. So since our guest kind of had a 2-in-1 recommendation, I think I'll follow suit and kind of offer one concept, two websites. And then the concept is words and stuff. There are a couple of very cool features available on Google that are great time wasters to I expect there's probably some actual good value as well, but time waster they are definitely for. And so I'm going to start with the first one, which is if you go to www.google.com/trends, trends, you can bring up what the world is searching on. You can bring up what's being searched on in the United States, global searches, and all those types of things. And they have a really cool little section at the bottom that's called Visualize Hot Searches. And you can basically set up, and Mel, this will probably get on your bad side, Windows 8-esque tiles, a series of tiles where it starts up where when you fire up the visualization, it's just one big screen and a block of color, and then like right now I've got it running, it's San Diego fire, Bruins. So these are just the most common search terms coming out. I think they set this up for you initially with a safe filter on it because we don't really want to know what the top searches are in Google because it'd be pretty unpleasant. There was, gosh, I cannot remember, Alta Vista, one of the search engines from 2,000 years ago when I first got on the internet.
I used it.
It had a Alta Vista Live option where you could basically go in and all they were doing, unedited, was throwing out, here's the next search, so here's what search has gone on. And you would see sad stories play out in a series of searches. What does it mean if this is red? What does how do you all very sad things. But lots of other you see that while there's some people that have some very particular interests, and you would see a search string that was gone through. So this appears to clear of that, so it's more the really broad base. So H.R. Geiger, Frontier Airlines, these are the things that are coming on now. One big tile, or then you can just kind of click on a little box in the corner and do a series of 4 tiles on your screen, or 8 tiles on your screen, or 16 tiles, and they'll all start populating. And so you just basically get kind of a flow of the zeitgeist, what's going on right now, and what the folks are seeing. So it's kind of a fascinating thing to watch from there, and somewhat sanitized, I believe, at least from everything I've seen. But you see the current searches. You've got a neat way to visualize it. They provide some groupings of here are the top searches on foods, on sports teams, on movies, and you can do all that. But then they also offer you the ability to, if you'd like to know what the global interest in Lego is, you can go into a section and it'll bring up a map and show how much different parts of the world are searching on Lego and those types of things. Or if you just want to explore, you can do that as well. And I indeed did some exploring prior to the show. I want to make sure I bring up my right one for this. So I know this is a podcast, so the folks listening are not going to be able to see these, but I'll do some screenshots, and we'll see if we can post 1 or 2 of these on the website. But just for fun for the show, I decided on the Google Trends to search on Kelly, Melissa, and Alicia. And you probably, I don't know if it's going to work on the camera or not to see there, but you can probably see there's like a blue line totally crushing a yellow line. Alicia, you're red. Melissa, you're yellow. Kelly is blue. So I'm destroying you guys in Google searches. It's not even close.
That's because Kelly is going to go all of the chick Kellys. And the guy Kellys. So you outnumber the Melissas and the Alicias.
I thought you might go there. So I did some additional research.
Oh, God.
And because we can now look at the geographical distribution of as people search on. So for Kelly, the #1 country searching for Kelly is the United States. But I would like to point out the 4th most searched entity, the Isle of Man. That's right, the Isle of Man is searching for Kelly, which I think
searching for Kelly.
Holding your hole for that. Alicia, by the way, Mexico is the #1 country searching on your name right now.
Okay.
And Melissa, Brazil. Big time. You're very, very big in Brazil.
Popular in Brazil.
Big in Brazil. So it's, it's fun. Outside of, if you come out on top on a name search, you can certainly lord that over people, which is fun. I can say from personal experience, but it's just a kind of very interesting way, so you can do some cross-hatching over time, and you can adjust the time frame and all that. What the Kelly dominance that I was just sharing here on the Google Trends was from 2006 to current date. So you can see some of that. So, but what's currently being searched on, the groupings, the kind of very cool visualization, plus the ability to dig in, all really fun. To go to google.com/trends to do that. On a related,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did. They've kind of. I was familiar with it before, but what I was more familiar with was something called Ngram. Ngram. Now, Ngram, it's a linguistic term, and it deals with different groupings of syllables, letters, and words that you can go through. And so instead of Google Ngram, you actually go to books.google.com/Ngram. And you can now also do something very similar with that, which, of course, I did with Kelly, Melissa, and Alicia. And again, allow me to hold up the chart for you guys there. Again, you'll see a dominating blue line. And let's look here again. Oh, that's Kelly again. How about that? Melissa's red in this case, and has recently, since 1980 forward, has begun to create some distance between you and Alicia. So, it's been good. I would like to point out that, Alicia, you had a great period of time in around the 1830s where you were doing much better, and you actually tied me around 1815. So congratulations on that. So this one here is more a corpus of books, and you can go ahead and slice and dice on when did the term radar show up, or if there's different kinds of terms. So you can do some very interesting things across literature as well. This one goes way back to the 1800s in terms of that. So it's kind of fun to do a search on, like Alice Cooper, which, as you might expect, I did that as well. Alice has had a couple good periods of time in the 1800s as well. I don't think it was the same one, but it's just another kind of fun one. So it's just, if you're kind of into data, it lets you kind of play around a little bit, see what terms in language, whether it's in books or then on the Google Trends current information. So it's just some kind of fun things to kind of play around with a little bit there. They're free. You just bring them up. We'll get the links in there, but it's google.com/trends and then books.google.com/ngram. And a 1 ngram is called a unigram, a 2 mgram is called a bigram, a 3 mgram is called a trigram, and then they just call them 4 gram, 5 gram, 6 gram, 7 gram. So if you want to ever drop that. So I ran trigrams on our name, so to get technical with you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it sounds like both of those would be very useful in Alicia's game show podcast.
It does sound that way. I was going to say perfect for logophiles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You play around, and I really do. It's just a very interesting thing. So and I guess to a certain degree, Twitter does this. If you watch the trending topics in Twitter and your timeline, you get a sense on kind of where the general momentum of conversations are going on some things. Mm-hmm. So Google searches is obviously another very interesting place to try that. And so when you throw up that visualizing the hot searches and put about 8 tiles on your screen, it's just kind of interesting to sit back and kind of watch the flow a little bit of what's kind of coming up from there. And like I said, it appears to be the family-friendly version of what people are searching on. So I'm making an assumption there because I get to find something that really I was like, ooh, that's not so good. And I have a hunch there might be some people searching on that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I didn't know about either one of those, and I like language stuff. So that Ngram sounds really cool.
Yeah. And I'll do a couple screenshots of my little test trials there for the site.
So he can show everyone just how bad Kelly is whooping everyone.
It's not even close, but at least the good news was in the 1800s you guys were hanging a little tighter. It's just as time went by.
And the population grew. You just outpaced us.
The Isle of Man pulled me through. So.
Yes. That's pretty cool. So, is it time for our
social media recommendations?
I believe it is. Who'd like to go first?
I will go ahead and go first. My social media recommendation for this week is on Twitter, but they also are on G+, which is kind of nice because you get a lot of the visual aspects on G+, but it is at Steampunk Tendencies. And I'm a fan of steampunk. I know people get down on steampunk, but I think it's arty and anachronistic, and it's cool, and I like copper. So I like steampunk art, and Steampunk Tendencies is an account, which that's pretty much all they do. Whether it's digital type pictures or a lot of times it's just art that people have created, whether they've made it out of metal or they've made a costume or an outfit. It's all really cool. So if you like steampunk or you just want to expand your horizons and go, what is all this steampunk crap about? Check out Steampunk Tendencies, and they'll give you all sorts of pretty pictures of steampunk hummingbirds and spiders and all sorts of cool things. I mean, they occasionally will give you a steampunk version of a PC case and all sorts of things that have been modded to look steampunk, and I think they're cool and they're arty and I like them. So check out Steampunk Tendencies either on Twitter or over on G+. They pretty much have the same content on both accounts. So whichever your social account is of choice, check them out.
I was just recently in Disney World, and they've introduced a new parade, and it's to a large degree Disney's take on steampunk. So some of the it's a little Disney-fied, so it's a little more cute and whatever, but the large dragon at the end of the parade, Maleficent, the dragon that she turned into, is definitely it clearly has steampunk tonality to it. Extremely cool. But it was kind of Disney's cut on it. But yeah, I look forward to that because I do that too. You might want to change your Twitter bio to I like copper, Mel. I think that might be cool.
I do like copper. Copper is a very pretty color. And it has very good heat dissipating aspects to it. And it's rather valuable these days.
Yes, it is.
So, people will be melting down your steampunk art to harvest the copper out of it.
Right.
All right, so who's next?
I can go next. I would say, so I wanted to share my social media recommendations. This would be the Twitter handles of the two podcasts that I recommended earlier. The first one would be for Night Vale, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but they're also twice monthly podcasts. So on the 1st and the 15th is when you'll have the new Night Vale episodes come out. But you can follow them at Night Vale Radio. And then for Ask Me Another, I believe they are at NPR Ask Me Another. And with both of those, it's really fun, especially, let's see, the Ask Me Another Twitter was especially, I don't know, made me laugh because they responded to me, I think, twice now about how much I enjoyed the show. And I think I said, right now I'm obsessed with NPR's Ask Me Another, and they responded and they said, right now, Alicia, we're obsessed with you. And I just thought that was really adorable. So, I think it's like they understand, they get it. And it's exciting to see that happening, and I'm glad that it is. So, yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I already follow Night Vale, so I'll have to go check them out. Yeah. I've got to listen to that podcast. You've made it sound awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah, especially with Colton in there.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give one, and I think we've established on earlier shows, Mel, I like abandoned things. I like things that are left to rot and fall apart. And
they're very artistic, like steampunk.
Yeah.
Okay, I just had a friend recently tell me how much he liked abandoned things. Like, what was it, an amusement park? There were all these pictures of an amusement park somewhere, maybe in Georgia, and I'm fascinated by why you're fascinated with this. So very interesting. Like what? Yeah.
Cool. Because they look cool.
That's what he said too. So I don't know. Okay, I guess I have to.
Cool. They're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
We've got those abandoned play. A past social media recommendation has a Twitter account called Abandoned Places, and it's just basically them posting pictures all the time of it. But this one's even better because this is moving pictures of abandoned places. There's a gentleman called Adam the Woo, W-O-O, Adam the Woo, and he has a YouTube channel called Adam the Woo, no spaces. And I highly suggest if you're in a band, you might want to tell your friend Alicia
Yeah.
to subscribe to Adam the Woo's account. Adam has been banned from Disney World and Disneyland, lifetime ban, because not only does he do abandoned places, but he tries to go backstage a little bit and do some other things there. And after his last foray, which I think was in 2013, Disney has banned him for life.
That's just sad.
And I didn't. Apparently, Disney has banned quite a few people for life, and been kind of getting ready and looking a little bit at Adam and that kind of stuff. I started to go down the trail of all these individuals that have been banned by Disney for life from their parks.
Did they have a wanted wall at the entrance?
I'm a little unclear on how they could pull that off exactly, but they do put.
They
those
probably have. Do you watch Person of Interest? They probably have one of those cameras with facial recognition and, oh God, they're in the park! They're in the park!
Adam the Woo is here. Adam.
Red alert! That's awesome. I love to think that Disney has security personnel on standby to drag Adam the Woo out of the park if they ever see him.
And it's Pinocchio who drags him out.
That's even better.
That would be interesting. That would be cool. But Adam's YouTube channel has tons of videos of abandoned places. He just goes all over the country and goes into it. So there are amusement parks, old TV and movie locations. So he will go to like where John Wayne's Alamo. So the town and the Alamo that they used to film the Alamo movie John Wayne was in. He went to there. The high school for Fast Times on Ridgemont High. I'm trying to think. There might have actually no. It's Back to the Future, wasn't Ferris. Back to the Future. Some of the filming locations for that. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So he went to some of the filming locations for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. A lot of these that have become abandoned places. Restaurants, hotels, the original Planet Hollywood. All these types of things there. So it's pretty interesting stuff. He's got a lot of content out there. He's updating it regularly. Whether it's movie stuff, amusement parks, which is one of my favorite abandoned places, or just other things. He goes there, but he doesn't go to Disney anymore. But you will see a series of Disney videos he did prior to his lifetime ban. So Adam the Woo, there's a website. I'm sure he's on Twitter too, and we can maybe dig that up. But I was just the YouTube channel was a good subscribe, so that's my recommendation for today.
Yeah, I like it. I like abandoned places. I tend to go more for the ones that are being reclaimed by nature. There's just something beautiful about them. But yeah, I like abandoned places pictures too, so that'll be cool. I was unaware of Adam the Woo.
Adam the Woo, so
I like it.
It's just something so cool about something that was clearly built to be populated and used, clearly no longer having any of that happening. It's just, I don't know, it's just the dichotomy. That's the thing that I find really interesting. And so
yeah, and those amusement parks, I'm always expecting if you look hard enough, you're gonna see that clown from It standing in the shadows. He's gonna get you. Yeah. Take my clown nightmares away somewhere. So that's cool.
Alrighty.
Lots of good recommendations.
I would say so. Alicia, love having you on. Hope you are open to joining us again sometime soon. It's always fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for having me on. I enjoy it very much. And really, the thing I find most difficult is just narrowing down what I want to recommend. So I really enjoy this a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, before the next show, if you have too many, just email me one. And, and then I'll recommend it, and that'll be even less work.
Yeah. So, Alicia, tell us again how everyone can check out your band.
Sure. So you can check out my band a few ways. One would be through iTunes. You can just search for O Alchemy, and we have 2 albums that you can find there. My band is also playing locally on June 12th in little town of Normal, and it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully we have a beautiful, beautiful evening because we'll be playing outside in the middle of a roundabout. Well, hopefully not in the middle of the roundabout, but close, nearby on a stage somewhere. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also, we have a website, which is oalchemy.com, where we have MP3s of our songs as well as 4 music videos that we have there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And for anyone who missed it, the theme music that you heard at the beginning of this episode is Alicia. The lyrics were by Kelly, but she performed it, and it's such a catchy little tune. It's so happy. I love it.
We get lots of compliments on it, so thank you very
Yay.
much.
I'm so glad you do. It was so much fun to play, and I think I recorded it, I don't know, 10 or 12 times before I sent it to you, just because I want to make sure I got it right. So I'm so happy that you like it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Are you going to open your set with that?
I didn't think about that. I wrote a song for. I wrote a song for my friend who moved recently, and she asked the same thing about her song. So everybody wants their song right in front. So we have to fill 2 hours, so you never know.
Yeah.
It might come up.
Yep. Whenever you need to just throw it out there, just go ahead. You have our full blessing.
Have your permission.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
good. Thank you.
All right. So I think, do we have anything else to say? Just wrap it up. We'll throw in our nifty voiceover closing.
Yeah, I think we'll have Matt take us out.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com, or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
So thank you for listening, everyone. This is Mel with Kelly and Alicia for another episode, I believe episode 23 of Nurture and Support, and we'll be back next week with more. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nurturing and supporting. Turn in.